Good afternoon, everyone. So for today, we are going to discuss creative writing. So this is module 7. So our topic for today is understanding intertextuality as a technique of drama. So we are going to scribble or doodle along para mas maintindihan ang lesson. Okay? So along the way, I could also give comments, other inputs na hindi makikita sa module if necessary. Okay? So now we're ready. Creative writing, quarter 4, module 7. Okay? And credits to the development team of the module. Writer, Miss Elaine C. Editor, Sir Ace Benedict Blackup, and reviewer, Mr. James V. Henson. So this is the development team of SDO Pampanga for creative writing. So for today, our goals or our objectives would be the following. Okay, so first is learn about intertextuality and how it works. Identify different intertextual figures, and to deepen one's understanding of ideas, themes, and perspectives in text through intertextuality. Okay? So before we move further, let's have what I know. Okay? So match the descriptions in column A with the words in column B. So write the letter of your answers on your notebook. So I will give you a few minutes for this. Okay, so assuming that you're done, so let's answer. Once upon a time in a faraway land. So we're talking about once upon a time in faraway land. So that gives it the correct setting. It's letter C. The queen was a true villain. The word is villain. Okay, we have letter B, antagonist, which is contrabida. Okay, and then we also have her loud voice awakened me. Loud, auditory, letter D. And then beautiful as morning, we have the keyword as. It's simile. So for simile, we use as or like. And then the ring symbolizes her love. It's connotation, letter E. So the opposite of connotation is denotation, which means the literal meaning, or we take it from letter D, dictionary meaning. Okay? So moving forward, so lesson 7 indicates understanding intertextuality as a technique, one of the techniques of drama. So earlier we have looked into the elements of drama, okay, what brings drama to life, how drama brings the stories to life through written or even presented ones, like drama, the written version versus the play, the one that is being staged. A beautifully written story with distinct characters that lingers in the memory of avid readers or even audience. Okay, this means that if ever a part of the story will be used in another text or similar texts will be created, there is a sure possibility that there would be the recall. Okay, so some texts are being related to one another through forms of conversations, thoughts, sounds, and other activities, and that's what actually leads to intertextuality. Okay, so for this one, identify the character. Look at the following pictures. So I could leave these to you already. So most of them are characters that you watch on famous TV series, TV shows, movies, etc. Okay? So the point here is that these are easy to recall because you know them by just looking at the colors. Sometimes you would already know who is who, okay? Or on what movie did that our character appear. Okay? So here, complete the following allusions by choosing the correct reference. Who's being, kumbaga, ano yung being referred to. Okay? You don't have to be blank to understand poetry. So when you're talking about understanding poems, that could be like a reader, a good reader. He or she could be an author, or someone with a great thinking. So we could consider Albert Einstein here. Okay. Some people are calling me the blank of miniature golf. So we could connect miniature golf with someone who's good in golf. Tiger Woods. Okay. She was so happy that she did the blank dance. Moonwalk dance. Okay, we know that that's from Michael Jackson, I believe. Okay. She reminded me of the mother in her grace. Mother Mary, I suppose. Okay. He gets one 3-point shot in gym class and now he thinks that he's sino bang basketball player sa kanilang lahat. Okay, si Stephen Curry. My younger sister is the blank of the family because she can hit high notes. So, sino dito? Yung nakaka-hit ng high notes? Regine Velasquez. She cut and sew her clothes and reinvents them for concerts. She will really be who is known for her, let's say, artistic, controversial clothes for concerts. Lady Gaga. Okay, I like Lady Gaga a lot. She's very creative. Your son has a budding talent in painting. I guess you have a Picasso. Okay, Picasso in the making. Don't think you're blank. Stealing is always a crime. So who among these are known to be who among these is known to be a robber? So it's Robin Hood. Lastly, the blank of the families here will gather around her, that means a girl, again to hear her wonderful stories. So it's Lola Bashang. Sometimes intertextuality has something to do with culture. So there are allusions that could be easily detected if you're within a particular group. Okay? So what is intertextuality? Okay? I remember making a demonstration about this when I was still in college. So intertextuality, okay, international, intersection. Okay, it means it is a text meaning is shaped by another text. Nasa loob ng isa pang text. It's inside another text. So it is about the interrelationship between related works or similar works of literature that mirror and influence how the audience interpret the text. It also refers to the author's borrowing and modification of prior text, or to a reader's referencing of one text in reading another. So technically speaking, when we talk about the word inter, it's a Latin prefix. It means between, among, in the midst of, mutually, together, and reciprocally. Textuality, on the other hand, means all attributes that determine the communicative content under analysis, such as an object of study. So it is not a literary or rhetorical device, but it's a fact about literary texts. So it's a fact that all are intimately interconnected. Like if you're going to see a damsel in distress, you could connect it again to princesses, of the stories from the old fairy tales. or if someone has to leave by midnight, that would easily lead you to thinking about Cinderella. So this is applicable to all texts like works of philosophy, novels, films, newspaper articles, songs, and the like. For example, I like the song Samson. The title itself is already an intertextuality. My favorite line would be, "You are my sweetest downfall." Okay, so it was actually an allusion to Samson and Delilah. Okay, how Delilah is portrayed to have cut Samson's hair, and then this line was very touching, at the same time very tragic, as the singer Regina Spektor sings, "You are my sweetest downfall. I loved you first. I loved you first." Diba ang ganda? That's how it works. So the story of Samson and Delilah within a song. Okay? So each text is greatly affected by all the texts that came before it. There's the influence of the texts before it. Since those texts have influenced the author's thinking, especially if the author is a wide reader and his exquisite choices. Nagre-reflect yan with what the reader actually reads before he wrote those texts. Even with No Limit Tangere of Jose Rizal, there are numerous influences like Uncle Tom's Cabin, and there's another one by Victor Hugo. Okay, what's that again? I'm gonna recall it later. Okay, so these Uncle Tom's Cabin, that has a very big influence on Jose Rizal. Okay, then other books as well, those are very helpful. And even before you become a writer, Les Miserables, how could I forget that? Even before a writer becomes a legit writer, I have heard this from real writers. I'm not saying that we have fake ones, but those who have proven their skill in writing, that you really have to read lots of books before you could say that you really are a writer. Okay, Julia Kristeva is the inventor of the term intertextuality. She has influenced both Ferdinand de Saussure and Mikhail Bakhtin. It's not Bakhtinian, but Bakhtin, through their models and attempts to combine. She was influenced, again, kasi Kristeva is younger compared to de Saussure and Bakhtin. Okay, she was influenced by their models, their writings, and their attempts to combine major theories about the origin of language. So this was the idea of Kristeva. Okay, so there are types of intertextuality. So we have the deliberate, sadya, or the latent, okay, which is implied. This is forging a relationship between the old text and the new text, deliberately, on purpose. The latent intertextuality, however, pertains to everything you've seen or read that sticks somewhere in your memory and affects your understanding of the world. Like, the author didn't really intended to put intertextuality there, but since you've read so much, you relate it to what you have already encountered before. So it determines how you write or create art, okay, or how you even read the text. So this is based on the point of view of the author, pwede rin siya sa reader. So sa deliberate intertextuality, sadya, lalo na sa author, na i-connect niyo yung old text din sa new text. Pero sa latent, it just surfaces kasi masyado nang madaming nabasa yung reader, ay yung author. Kaya habang nagsusulat siya, lumilitaw na lang even without conscious effort. For readers, they could deliberately identify the intertextuality because they might have read similar stuff, okay? And latent, unconsciously, without even the effort, they could already detect what should be, what could be alluded in the text, okay? So we have intertextual figures. We have allusion, quotation, calque, plagiarism, translation, pastiche, parody, okay? So allow me to double check the pronunciation, okay? We have to be sure. So as I'm searching for the pronunciation, let's start with allusion, okay? Allusion is a figure of speech. You might have heard about this already in your high school, in your previous topics. So it is where an object from unrelated context is referred to covertly, obviously, or indirectly with another. It is left to the audience to do or make direct connection. That is left to the audience. This is where the connection is directly and explicitly stated by the author. Instead, usually termed a reference. Example, you don't have to be William Shakespeare to write poetry. Okay? So we know that William Shakespeare is good in writing poetry and syempre drama. Okay? Quotation is a written form of oral echo. Okay? You don't claim ownership, but instead, you state directly what the person stated verbatim. It can also be direct and indirect. According to violin player Itzhak Perlman, the most important thing to do is really listen. That's why we were given 2 ears and 1 mouth for us to listen more and talk less. Okay? Next is calque. Calque. So, a loan word from the French noun calque, which means tracing or imitation, or a close copy. It means to borrow a word or a phrase from another language while translating its components, as to create a new lexeme in the language. So you're borrowing, okay, a particular word from another language, okay? So, no translation. So let me give you more examples, okay? Again, it's calque. You're loaning words from another language. So look at how beautiful language and literature is actually is, I mean, kasi it's very interconnected. It's very related to each other. So we also have like an example, an Adam's apple. It's a calque of the French pomme d'Adam, or beer garden is a calque for German Biergarten. Okay? And we also have the concept of plagiarism. When using intertextuality, it is usually a small excerpt of a hypotext that assists in understanding of a new hypertext original themes. While this does seem to include intertextuality, you have to consider the intention and the purpose of using another's work. Kasi if it's something malicious, you want to claim ownership for that, that's plagiarism. And we always have to give credit where credit is due. Translation, it's transfer in stable meaning. You change from one language to another. If the term is beautiful, I would translate it in Filipino, maganda, and in Kapampangan, malago. I think in Bicol, it's magayon. Okay? So that's translation. Pastiche imitates the style or character of the work of one or more artists. It's when you put together elements from various stories, then you merge them into one. And then parody, it's a relatively polemical and comical allusive imitation of another cultural production or practice. It may appear to be, it may have a heavy meaning. It could be like satirical, okay? It has its purpose, the parody, or it could also be just like for entertainment then. So there, independent activities, okay, based on your own understanding, identify the scenarios. You can do that. Then think of two stories or movies that are resembling or have great similarities. Complete the table by supplying it with with the ideas of how they are similar. So you would have to think of two movies, a story, or two different stories or two different movies that somewhat are alike. Parody is an imitation of the style of a particular writer, artist, or genre with deliberate exaggeration for a comic effect. It's intended to be supposedly funny, okay? So, original advertisement, brand name, original script, tagline, then your advertisement. So, halimbawa, from McDonald's, you make it McDolibee, something like that. So this one, you analyze the songs. You can do that on your own. Okay, translation, you have to translate "You Are My Sunshine" and what they mean, okay, etc. So at the end of the day, you have to indicate what you have learned about intertextuality. I hope that's clear, okay? And if you are to conceptualize a superhero in your play, I think this is still under drama. Yeah, because it's intertextuality for drama. What will be his name or her name, and what would be the superpowers? Then you would have to add ideas from the books or movies that you have already watched. So there's intertextuality. Okay? Intertextuality. Then you have to write your descriptions in your notebook or on your designated portfolios. References. I hope you've learned something for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you have questions, feel free to ask. Bye-bye!